What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday, and welcome into the MLB DFS live stream here at fantasyalarm.com. I am your host, James Grande, joined today by Keith Eister. Keith, happy Monday to you, good sir. We have a nice 7-game MLB slate. As you guys know, we have typically done NBA streams 5 to 6 p.m. But if you guys did not catch the preview show podcast, we are swapping to MLB moving forward. So Monday through Friday here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel, you will catch us doing MLB breakdowns instead of NBA breakdowns. So this is the first of many. So buckle in. We did a lot of NBA this year. I think it's time to switch, to turn the page to a new sport, to a fresh sport, to a sport that still cares about what's going on. I mean, not that the NBA doesn't, but this last couple of weeks has been very silly. I'll say that. Keith, what's going on, dude? Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. NBA this time of year is definitely tricky. Baseball's new and exciting and shiny. Definitely have to keep in mind the baseball season is a marathon, though, not a sprint. It drags on for what feels like forever, but it is my first love, my favorite sport, if I had to pick one. Also love basketball and football, but I'm a huge baseball fan, so happy to be on the show with you. Did the playbook for MLB last Friday, so I've got my feet wet in the MLB streets a little bit already, but happy to be here for the season.
What's your top 3 if you had to rank them?
I would go MLB, NFL, NBA. Surprisingly, as close, like I'm a avid NBA fan. I follow it every day, but I basically live and breathe sports 24/7. So I have room for all 3 of my loves.
Okay. I would say NBA, MLB, big gap, and then probably combat sports in general.
I'm a combat sports
boxing,
fan
MMA.
As well. I definitely consume a ton of UFC events.
Boxing. I'm a boxing guy too, so I like both sides of the. I'm one of those rare. I can consume both. I don't hate MMA fans and I don't hate boxing fans. I appreciate both, but neither here nor there, Keith. We are talking a 7-game baseball slate, a very interesting slate. We have not many weather spots. Weather is a big part of the MLB slate. I think. Other than 30-degree weather in Chicago tonight, that we don't have much weather. Anything else stand out to you when you first started doing your research, or since you've started doing your research?
Yeah, no precipitation concerns really, but the weather, the temperatures are definitely impactful. Chicago looks really nasty. Concerned they may not even play that game. Potential snow in that game. Temperatures in the 30s.
Yeah.
Feels like less than 25. It's nasty in Chicago today. Sacramento looks like the best hitting spot on the board. That park is played really small, and the weather is the best on the slate as well. Temperatures up in the upper 60s, where everything else, like 50s, are the best you're going to see, and several games in the 30s and 40s. So weather in Sacramento kind of stood out as well.
Yeah, watching the Yankees, they're in Detroit today. There was snow. They're playing through the snow. I was like, oh, this is wonderful. And they moved the games up like 4 hours in the day, from the evening to the day, just to beat it. And they didn't beat it. It's actively snowing there. Big salute to everyone in the chat and in the YouTube. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. I see Justin in the chat. Let's go. I see 3 U's in the chat. First one, I see you, Justin. I don't see through you. I see you. But let's get into the slate. I'll bring it up. If you guys are first-time watchers, we go position by position here. We will be breaking it down like that on the DraftKings board. If you have a FanDuel question, don't be afraid to ask. Keith plays over there too. I don't, but Keith plays over there too. Keith is a very good DFS player that has time to do both. I don't do that. Let's get into things, Keith. We'll start at pitching. We have 3 names over 9K. We have 3 names over 8K. When John and I did the preview show, I feel like there was 2 guys above 9K that stood out. There were, and then the mid tier, I feel like there's not a lot of wrong answers. How do you feel about 8K and up? Because I think that there's This is a very quality top half of pitching.
I agree with you. I think it is a very strong pitching slate. There are two names I am also very excited about over 9K. Logan Gilbert has just been an incredible stud for the Mariners. That rotation is awesome. The ballpark he pitches in is awesome. Houston is a matchup we've avoided for several years in DFS, but this is not the same Houston lineup. Obviously, we've seen guys like Carlos Correa and George Springer depart over the past couple of years, and now they've traded away who is probably their best hitter, at least one of their top two hitters in the last 2 years, in Kyle Tucker. Like suddenly, there's a lot more strikeouts in this Houston lineup than there has been. I don't think they're going to necessarily strike out at the highest level in the league the entire season, but that's where they currently stand. They're up there like top 3 right now. Houston's striking out a ton, so I like this matchup for Logan Gilbert. Mentioned the ballpark is one of the best in baseball, perhaps. So I love the spot for Logan Gilbert. Strikeout rate up there around 29% as well. So elite strikeouts, pretty solid matchup for him. Michael King, I think, is a very good pitcher. It's just not the slate for him. I mentioned the hitting weather in Sacramento. I'm a fan of his. I love that the Padres made a savvy move to acquire him after seeing some flashes in the New York rotation and converting him to a full-time starter because he is talented and he has the pitches to do it. Not quite the slate for Michael King. I don't think, just given the context that he's in the best hitting weather, there's some other really strong options around him. Kodai Senga, I am also very excited about. Haven't seen a ton of him over the past couple of years. He's been dealing with injuries.
Yep.
Has been absolutely nasty when he's been on the mound. Yeah. So has an elite matchup against a horrid Miami lineup. So Senga, I would put him right up there with Gilbert in terms of upside on this slate. I love Senga today.
Yeah, and to no surprise, they're very popular. 2 of the top 4 most popular pitchers of the slate. Senga leading the charge by a pretty significant margin. So if you are looking to play only one of those guys, the leverage is Logan Gilbert. You mentioned the strikeout rate, 27% strikeout rate. Small sample, obviously, for Houston against right-handed pitching to start the year. So to your point, Isaac Paredes being in that lineup, big time. It's just a different lineup, as you mentioned. So Gilbert, if you're only playing one, it's easy. I think it's easy to get both. But if you're only playing one, Gilbert's obviously the leverage there. When you drop below and into this 8K tier, we have Nathan Eovaldi in a total of 6 implied runs. 6, yeah. Real number. Coming off a complete game shutout, old school style, 99 pitches in his second start of the year. You have Logan Webb in probably another elite ballpark to pitch in against an offense that, isn't very good, especially when they're away from Great American. And you also have Zach Gallen, 8,300, coming off a absolute blanking of the Yankees in his last start. Who in the 8K tier stands out?
Yeah, less excited about this range, and it's just because there's a couple of things that we can mention with each guy. These guys aren't the elite strikeout pitchers that Senga and Gilbert are. We'll see those guys up around 30% for the season. A guy like Logan Webb is an awesome real-life pitcher, but he gets his work done with ground balls. And in DFS, I love to target strikeouts. Webb is around a league average strikeout pitcher compared to an elite guy like Senga or Gilbert. You're going to see a gap of about 7% in strikeouts there. So I like Logan Webb. He's an awesome real-life pitcher. I just don't think he has quite the upside. The matchup does give him upside, though. It wouldn't surprise me to see him throw 7 shutout innings here against this Reds lineup that has struggled mightily to begin the season. They get a massive ballpark downgrade, like you mentioned, going out west instead of in their comfy home park where the ball flies. So I don't mind Webb. I just don't think he has quite the upside. He is probably my favorite in this range. Gallen has a really tough matchup against Baltimore, who we expect to be one of the best offenses in baseball this season. Eovaldi, I wouldn't mind the matchup against the Cubs. I think they're an above average offense, but the weather throws a wrench into things here. Like, it is not going to be fun to throw baseballs when it's 30 degrees. It's not going to be fun to hit by any means either. And you're not going to see a home run more than likely off of him. With 30 degrees, if there's any precipitation at all, it starts to get really dicey. So I'm scared of the weather. I'll keep an eye on that closer to lock. I don't have anything bad to say about Eovaldi as far as matchup goes, but the weather is a bit of a concern for me there.
Yeah, I wonder. It's going to be it's a Spider-Man meme where the offense is like, this sucks, and the pitcher's like, this sucks, right? Like they're both just like, wow, playing baseball in this weather sucks. And also Wrigley doesn't play too good for offense anyways. And when it's cold, like it's just not going to, unless the wind's blowing out in Wrigley, it's just not a good offensive
Yeah,
a place to
Wrigley
hit.
is by
So
far the most wind-sensitive stadium in the league. The wind's blowing
yes,
in about 15
yes.
miles an hour. So like the
I
park
mean, it's
plays
cooked. You're cooked.
complete opposites when the wind blows in versus when it blows out. It's one of the only stadiums where the wind matters that much, and it's like a factor of like how Coors is a better park than everyone else. Like Wrigley is the best wind
Yep.
park. So definitely you need to check the wind at Wrigley every day.
And I assume we don't like this next tier, not only because, or you didn't like the AK tier, not only because there's flaws, but you like there's one specific name in the next tier that you, me, and everyone else wants to get to. And he throws really hard, and he strikes a lot of people
Yes,
out.
yes, he does, and he is at least 1,500 underpriced in my opinion in this spot.
Yes,
He's been
agreed.
awesome this season.
Yeah.
He gets the massive ballpark upgrade where the Reds hitters get the downgrade. He gets the upgrade going to a pitcher's park. San Francisco's offense has been pretty good this season, but they're not necessarily somebody I'm afraid of. Hunter Green is way too cheap in this spot. He should be the highest owned pitcher here. I don't have any arguments against him.
Yeah, even with the good offense, because they do 740 team OPS against righties, nearly a 180 team ISO, which is pretty sick as a full team. 25% strikeout rate against righties. I mean, you start pairing strikeouts, high strikeout rate with Hunter Green, and you're talking about the guy who could have the highest ceiling on a given slate, right?
Yeah,
So
he belongs up in the Gilbert
I
Senga tier for me, and he is not priced like them.
agreed. Do you feel the same way about Justin Steele as you do about Evaldi?
Yeah, I do. The weather is the only concern there. Texas struggles against lefties. Seager has struck out a bunch against lefties, and the entire lineup has struck out significantly more against lefties. So this is a matchup I would have targeted Steele in, especially at this price. I'm a huge Cubs fan, so I'm a huge Justin Steele fan. It's been a little bit of a rocky start to the year for him. He was down a little bit last year as well, but I still believe he is a top tier pitcher, kind of in the Logan Webb mold, though, more of a better real life pitcher than a DFS pitcher. He's not going to be a 29, 30% strikeout guy, but he's going to be above average in the 25% range, I think. And the matchup, like with Texas being worse against lefties, I think he would be playable. But given the weather concerns there, I will sprinkle a couple just because I think he's underpriced. But it is a tough spot given the weather.
It would probably be like, if Evaldi was Steele's price, I would feel like I'd be like, yeah, if I'm multi-entering, I'd definitely have shares of
Agree.
both. But it's easier to get Steele $1,000 cheaper in bad weather.
Yep.
Is there anything else even worth talking about? I feel like it's very easy to get to pitching basically Hunter Green and up tonight. Is there anything else that you put any stock into below Justin Steele?
One name that I have interest in is Hayden Wesneski. He's been okay. Like he has a home run.
Former
Cub. Yeah.
Former Cub.
In that Kyle Tucker deal that we mentioned. He has good stuff. So he has strikeout ability. The problem with him is he has a massive home run problem. I think he was up around 1.8 home runs per 9 last season, 2 the year before that. So until he fixes the home run problem, there's going to be massive risk with him. But there is upside, and we've talked about Seattle's ballpark a couple of times now. Seattle is also a boomer bust offense that swings for the fences on every pitch. They led the majors in strikeout rate last year. So it's a team that I target frequently with pitchers in DFS because they do strike out so much. You factor in the ballpark upgrade for Wesneski. I'm going to take some shots in large field tournaments. I think Hunter Green being just a couple $100 more makes him the far easier click. But if I'm spending down twice or even a lineup where I'm fading Green, Wesneski would be fine for me today.
When I was researching earlier, Wesneski had some of the wildest splits I've seen in a while. Last year against righties, he had a 46% fly ball rate. To your point, last year against lefties, Keith, he had a 53% ground ball rate. What in the world are you doing from, I mean, like, obviously I know like certain pitches are work
Yep.
better
And
against specific splits,
that's
but
exactly what's going on. And I was kind of sorry to see the Cubs give up on him or at least include him in that trade. Obviously, the return
right.
was incredible, so it's hard to complain.
Yeah, you have the best player in baseball right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think you're
exactly.
okay.
But his pitch mix is really interesting. He just got torched by lefties, like you mentioned. He added a cutter to his arsenal, and that's kind of what's been helping him against lefties. But now he's giving up home runs to righties. So it's a mixed bag. The cutter, I think, has helped his home run problems against lefties. He's still obviously working on some things, but as I mentioned, like he has good stuff. It's just a matter of him fine tuning it. He's going to have some days where he pops. He's going to have some days where he gives up 3 or 4 home runs and gets absolutely blasted.
Yep.
So it's a high risk play for sure. But the home runs are still a concern. They've just flipped from one side of the plate to the other. To your point,
It's insane. Even like all the expected stuff, like the ISO elevated against righties. The expected ISO was even higher. But the expected, I'm like, oh my god, he can't. He's Michael Lorenzen, who's on this slate, but like way worse of a ground baller, at least against right-handed bats. I agree. Wisniewski is an interesting dart, but I don't think there's anything else. So let's move to catcher, which typically a position I don't spend on. I will make exceptions. I don't think you, as a large field player, care. I think you'd probably stack if there's a expensive catcher or not. But like, is there a specific catcher you'd spend on today, or is this just a punt and move on position?
I generally like to save some money at catcher. Today is not a very strong day in the value range of catcher, and there are a couple of names that really stand out in the upper tier. Cal Raleigh is the first name that stands out. We mentioned those home run problems from Wisniewski. Raleigh has some of the best power from the catcher position in the entire league, so he is definitely a guy that I would want exposure to. I like Sal Perez in a low strikeout matchup against Woods Richardson, who is just kind of a mediocre pitcher. Rutschman is always fine. Gets a tougher matchup against Gallen, though. So it's Raleigh out of any of the top tier guys. Perez would be second for me.
What about how willing to stack? How we just had the question from Josh, and thank you guys for tuning in. We'll get to some of your comments in a second. There's 2 people here, Josh. It's okay, James and Keith. I'm just kidding. But he is talking about the ballpark, and I do think it's worth mentioning. Just reiterating because you brought it up kind of at the top. This game total again, and I've said it on 4 straight shows that we've had this. It's 8.5, and I understand that there's it's respect to Michael King because he's a good pitcher. It's Severino is he opened the season for them, was a good pitcher last year and has been. But this ballpark is not playing like a ballpark that ever should be set at 8.5. And did that have to do with the Cubs offense? Would you take a shot on playing Oakland stacks? Because we just got the lineup. Langoliers hitting 4th. It's a good top. Butler, Rooker, Soderstrom, Langoliers, Blade. I like that top 5 a ton. They swap Soderstrom and Blade there. Would you consider Langoliers in a stack because the ballpark? What's your take on this? On just the athletic side of things.
The Athletics are I think they're one of the best up and coming teams in the league. They played really, really well in the second half last year. There's a lot of young talent, young hitters in particular. And then they went out and spent some money on pitching. So I'm actually excited about this Athletics team. Langoliers is one of my favorite catchers to play on any given slate just because of the power that he possesses. He has an awesome nickname as well, Bangoliers. If you haven't heard that one, it's just fantastic. But yeah, he's live for 2 home runs in this park. I don't even need to stack him. I'm fine with him as a one-off.
Okay. Yep. Hitting 4th, great spot, power. Every year he's probably live to lead the league amongst catchers in home runs. So you don't find that upside at the catcher position much. What else would we drop below Langoliers? Usually I'm just play the Cubs catcher and move on. They did give them a price bump in the worst possible scenario ever for hitting. Last night we kind of were okay with just playing the San Diego starter. So whether that be Elias Diaz or Martin Maldonado, I hope it's Elias Diaz, because we know Martin Maldonado is, people like him as a catcher. Pitchers like him as a catcher, but he is not known for his bat unless he's facing a lefty. Anything below like 4K that stands out to you?
Gabe is a talented guy, still young, still
Yep.
coming into it. His defense is ahead of his offense right now, but Moreno is a talented guy. I think you could certainly play. I definitely like him in an Arizona stack. Agree with you on the Cubs catchers today. Like, just can't do it in this weather, and nothing else really standing out outside of that. Higashioka, I always like to play against the lefty, but again, he's in that really cold weather.
Same.
Like, can't do it today. So that's why there's not a ton of value options today. Like Moreno, I wouldn't even call like a punt option. He's more like you have to spend a little bit.
No, he's not.
So going down, like there is no real punt option to feel great about.
There are 3 catchers, $2,300 or lower, currently getting double-digit ownership. Christian Vasquez is one. Righty on righty crime. We know Michael Lorenzen very bad against right-handed bats. He is popular. Hayden Sanger from the
still in that basketball mode.
Listen, this is the first MLB live stream of the year, right? Hayden Sanger is also getting double-digit ownership. 2,300 confirmed, batting 9th today. Valente Balazo getting called up to make the start for the Marlins tonight. And Elias Diaz is your second most popular catcher of the day at $2,200. We do not yet have a Padres lineup. Last I checked, nope, do not have a Padres lineup yet. Of the 3, Keith, I'm putting you on the spot. Of those 3 catchers getting double-digit ownership right now, the most likely to make your lineup is who?
I think it's Hayden Singer, and that's because of the matchup. Balazo is not a strikeout pitcher by any means. He has a home run problem. Singer's got a little bit of pop. Like, I think Singer's the guy for me.
Big home run problem, big fly ball problem. Balazo, only thing you have to worry about in that game is it's super cold. Will the ball carry at City? Because City's already a tough place to hit. I will split the difference here and go Elias, but I will again, that's where I'm going to live in this range regardless. One of the 3 is going to be in my lineup, I'll tell you that much. First base position, we go. We have, polar bears like the cold.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they do like the cold. Are the Mets the best stack of the day, and is Pete Alonso kind of spearheading that stack for you?
The weather is putting them in the top tier, but I wouldn't say the best stack of the day. They're up there though for me, certainly. Be curious to see where the ownership comes in on these guys. Pete Alonso is definitely spearheading it. Guys that strike out a ton, facing low strikeout pitchers who have big time power like that. This is the spot we want the polar bear. If the weather wasn't an issue, he would be my favorite hitter on the entire slate. Obviously, I prefer the Sacramento game with the weather out there, but Pete Alonso is a fantastic option.
Yeah, and the power. Not that Balazo was good against lefties, but he was definitely luckier against lefties last year. He was downright awful against right-handed bats. 277 ISO, 364 WOBA, 56% fly ball rate allowed to right-handed bats. Checkmate for Pete Alonso. If you're betting home runs today, Keith, you know where to go. What else do we like at first? 4K and up. Is there anything that stands out to you? The Pasquatch, Josh Naylor.
Pasquantino's a guy I definitely like. Hitting third in that KC lineup, should be an above-average offense this season. I'm not a believer in Simeon Woodruff-Richardson. I know he's had some success over the past year. Was a decent prospect coming up, but just the profile, I think he's getting really lucky for the better part of a year now.
Yes.
So I like this matchup for Pasquantino quite a bit. Let's see, moving down. The other guys have pretty tough matchups. I'm probably looking to go cheaper. I don't like much else in the 4K range.
I agree. I think honestly, I'd go right. The next name I'd go right to is Soderstrom. Moving up, hitting third tonight, super cheap. He has been nails to start the year. Another guy who had a really high profile prospect rating, who's just run into injuries and hasn't been great when he's been on the field. Has been great this year. Thoughts on playing Tyler Soderstrom hitting third?
Yeah, I'm with you. Really talented bat, big power guy as well. This park has played incredible. Nothing bad to say about him.
Man, I'm gonna be overweight on Oakland tonight, or on Oakland, on the Athletics, and I don't know how to feel about it, but I'm gonna be there.
I never mind that. Like I said, they've been good going back to the second half of last year. I'm a believer in their young talent. I think you should feel okay.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. I thank you. I'm just gonna thank you for that. What else? What else do we got at first base that piques your interest, if anything? Because you don't have to.
There are a couple other names. Pavin Smith, Eflin, I think is just a fine major league pitcher. He's not somebody I'm scared of, so don't mind going there. Gavin Sheets is the other one. Like that first base eligibility quite a bit. Depending on where he's hitting, that's a game that we love. He's really, really cheap. There's some power in that bat. Kind of a failed prospect with the White Sox. New opportunity here for him with San Diego. So I like Gavin Sheets a ton.
Yeah, hasn't stopped hitting. Hitting all spring, made the team because he hit all spring and just has kept doing it.
Yep.
For the only thing we know is if there is a lefty, he will be pinch hit for, right? Like Sandy, he is live to 3 at bat. Get out of there if it's a competitive game.
That's always a catch-22 for me. If he homers twice in those 3 at bats, who cares? But yeah, that's definitely a concern.
No,
it's like it just lowers the overall expectation. If there's a certain percentage that he gets pinch hit and his is higher than most, then you obviously have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, and like it matters more if he's 4,600. He's 2,600.
Right. I mean, one RBI double, and you're probably fine with that production from Sheets.
Right. It'd be different if like we're out here telling you play Pasquantino and then he's pinch hit in the 7th inning and you're like, oh, well, my lineup, I'm dead because I'm not getting that final at bat and he hasn't done anything yet, right? Which is much different. So, Luis Arraez is getting some ownership. I mean, he is just who he is. He's a 0 in a specific department that you want. And even though he has the same home runs as Gavin Sheets this year, just throwing that out there, he has. But he is getting a lot of ownership. Not surprising to see San Diego getting.
Yeah, just not a profile I play. Like in a San Diego stack, he's fine. I definitely would not play him as a one-off because you need multiple events from him to get there from a fantasy perspective. Like if Arraez is having a good day, more than likely the entire San Diego lineup is. So in a stack only for me on Arraez.
Yeah, 3 hits, 2 runs scored, one of them a double. Like it's just you need a lot to go right because he might just go 3 for 4 with 3 singles and a run scored, and you're like, it's fine. Like it's good, but you know, second base. This position, I'm going to proclaim easily the worst on the board today. I don't know if you feel the same. You don't care. You're indifferent. You have someone specific that you want to play. I don't. I don't like this position. Talk to me about what, if anything, like actually catches your eye and makes you a believer at this in the spots that they're in.
I'm completely with you. Very bad position. It's hard to say about any one person here. I think it's a position that just kind of falls into my stack most of the time. If I had to single out one guy, it's probably Jake Cronenworth. Severino wasn't great in his first start. Like I know, and he's another one of these. Like he hasn't shown the power that we thought he might develop into. Like it's kind of disappeared the last couple of years. He's kind of trending the wrong direction. It's really more that I just like the San Diego bats. So he's a guy that I'll have exposure to, but he certainly wouldn't be a one-off target for me. But there really isn't any one-off targets. Westberg, I would say, probably has the most upside, but he has a tough matchup against Gallen. Polanco has not been great for quite a long time. Again, he's facing a pitcher with That's a huge fly ball guy that gives up home runs. Another guy who struggled mightily last year, though, so nothing great to say about him. It's a weak position.
It's just a weak position. I don't mind playing some Royals stuff here. Maikel Garcia, especially with the righty on the mound, the speed upside that he possesses, and he's actually hitting the baseball, which, I think a lot of Kansas City thought he would last year when he was their leadoff hitter for a lot of the year. And he's hitting and he's not even stealing, which is wild. He had 40 stolen bases last year. He's not running. So I like Garcia, and Michael Massey is always a guy I like playing against a righty. He's very good against right-handed pitching specifically. But there's John and I actually thought Brett Beatty would start. Shame on us because Brett Beatty can't hit the baseball, but Acuna hasn't really hit the ball either. Is there anything else? The fake Max Muncy who can't hit anymore either? I don't even know if he actually. Hold on. Oh yeah, he is in the lineup. He's hitting 9th. I wasn't even sure if he was going to be in the lineup today. He is hitting 9th. Is there anything else at all?
I like the Massey call out quite a bit. Acuna I'd be okay with. Again, I like this spot for the Mets. The weather isn't ideal, but it's a good spot for sure against that pitcher. So Acuna would be the cheap guy I'm looking at.
What about if Tawa plays?
Who is that?
Tim Tawa. He is he was really good prior to his call up, and he's going to play with Ketel Marte. He's getting some ownership too, which I think this is another something I'm okay with, just considering he's a 2K punt that was showing a lot of flashes in the minors prior to his call up, and if he does anything for you at a 2K min salary, you're happy with and you move on.
Yeah, just to be able to punt the position at minimum price, I think is valuable. I'm not necessarily a believer in him as a prospect. He's not an elite guy by any means. I thought he had a little bit better stolen base ability than he does. I just looked up his numbers, averaging double-digit steals, but not 20 steals. I thought he had a little bit more stolen base ability than that. So a pure punt play for sure. You're looking for a couple hits and a couple of runs, I would say.
Third base we go. Hopefully we like a little bit more here. Look, Manny Machado exists in the world. Thank you for a good baseball player here at the top. We have Westberg, who you could play at second as well. Eugenio Suarez, 4,700. Maikel Garcia, also dual position eligible. Matt Chapman, 45. Mark Vientos, Jonathan India, Jaime Candelario. Anything 4K and up that really gets you going here, Keith.
Yeah, Machado would be the guy here. I love San Diego today, even against a pretty solid pitcher. Yep. Vientos has big power. Again, the weather there is not ideal, but the matchup against a low strikeout pitcher for a very high strikeout bat is ideal. Vientos has really struggled this season. He doesn't look right, but he does have big power there. So I'd be okay chasing him a little bit. Hunter Green can give up a long ball every now and then. He has mitigated that problem going back to last year. So Matt Chapman is definitely a guy I like to play. Don't love the matchup for him today, but would be fine taking some shots there.
Yeah, I'm a Matt Chapman believer. Big time Matt Chapman believer. But I agree with everything else he said. I do think it's those two. The ownership reflects it too. Machado and Vientos, the two highest owned third basemen on the board by quite a significant margin when you're factoring in no positional eligibility, because the next bunch of guys have multi-position eligibility, and yet Machado and Vientos still clear them by quite a margin. Under $4,000, Isaac Paredes, Jose Miranda. I think that's actually quite an interesting spot, considering both those guys split sides that they enjoy. Gio Urshela's in the lineup tonight. Dylan Moore. What below 4K is catching your eye?
Yeah, Miranda's the guy that stands out. Casey has pretty fair hitting weather as well, as they often do this time of year, compared to the East Coast and the Midwest, like Chicago type of places. So definitely don't mind Miranda. Paredes is a guy I think we're going to play a bunch this year, but probably not the spot against Gilbert. But he's a great fit for that park. And again, I'm just a fan of that trade on both sides. Urshela, not a guy I'm really interested in.
No.
Like Graham Pauley is a guy who has a little bit of pop. Again, he's in the cold weather in New York. I don't love him as a punt. I think I'd punt second and spend up a little here at third.
Yeah, just the Miranda would be the guy for me if I'm spending down or halfway down. Really good against righties last year, 187 ISO, 366 WOBA. And we've talked about it. That's Michael Lorenzen, big reverse splits pitcher. Lefties did nothing against him last year. 112 ISO, 248 WOBA. Not so fast, my friend. Righties, 193 ISO, 351 WOBA against him last year. So I do like Miranda. And we've talked about it a bunch. Like that Casey outfield, you put it in the gap. There might be no one in baseball that could leg out a triple if you put it in the right spot in that gap. That is a big outfield, dude. So I do like the reverse splits for Miranda and Lorenzen there. Shortstop, we go. It's a good position. There's some names, some good baseball players exist at this position. Ellie De La Cruz, Bobby Witt, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor, Corey Seager, all over 5K. I'm gonna ask you to do the impossible here. Rank your favorite 3 of the 5.
Yeah, obviously loaded position as it usually is. It is the talent coming up at shortstop is awesome. Yeah. It's really good for baseball as well.
Yes,
so
for sure.
There's some awesome stuff here. I think I would go. It's Ellie and Bobby Witt as the top 2 for me. Lindor is close. Those are the top 3. Okay. Just because of the matchup for Lindor, I think that Witt and De La Cruz have the upside. They're just unique players, and like their power speed combination. And Lindor has it a little bit too, just not quite on the same level of these 2 young phenoms, if you will. So I don't care about matchup for them. I know Webb is an elite pitcher by real life standards. So that's a little bit of a downgrade for Ellie De La Cruz. We mentioned the ballpark downgrade as well. But I just think his upside is as high as it gets. So officially I'll go with Ellie, Francisco Lindor.
And on your Ellie point, he is 1/4 the ownership of Bobby Witt and 1/3 the ownership of Francisco Lindor. So like you as an MME player and as a tournament player, that you're licking your chops at getting a low-owned Ellie De La Cruz.
Exactly. When I get a guy who can lead the slate in fantasy points at much lower ownership than his counterparts, like that's definitely something to target.
Yeah, he has 4 stolen base upside or double dong upside, whatever you prefer, or possibly 2 of each in a game, right? Like it is really. I will say I agree on the 3. I would probably flip. I have a hard. Man, the Beloso numbers are just so bad. I mean, I know the weather stinks in that game, but like, oh boy, if he is a meatball central. I think I saw something. He threw the most meatballs in Major League Baseball last year, and he even pitched the whole year in the big league. So he is not a very good pitcher. I have a hard time not going Lindor or Witt, but I completely understand the De La Cruz pivot. Below the 5K tier, Dansby Swanson, Carlos Correa, Xavier Edwards back in the lineup after being scratched yesterday. Willie Adames, 4,300, gets the correct reverse splits. Xander Bogaerts, 42. Jackson Holliday, 41.
Correa's the first name here. I'm not interested in Swanson with the weather. Good matchup against a good pitcher, so I'm skipping Swanson today. Seager's lefty. Correa is the guy. You mentioned the reverse splits of Lorenzen and Green, so I'm looking at those 2 righties in Correa and Adames.
Agreed. Willie Adames, guy only hits righties, never hits lefties. People love to play him against lefties. I swear his ownership is always too high. He only hits righties.
This is a sneaky great spot for Adames. Hunter Green has a righty home run problem as well. He has reverse splits. So you have a reverse splits hitter against a reverse splits pitcher. Like things are lining up for Willie Adames today.
What about value? Geraldo Perdomo, 3,700, going to hit atop the order. Has been really good this year, especially with Ketel Marte out. They'll hit him near the top. Jeremy Pena, 33. Luis Angel, we already talked about, 31. Jacob Wilson, very good, just hitter, seemingly 3K. Actually, was Wilson in the lineup? Did I miss? Oh, he is hitting
Yep.
7th, so not a terrible spot in the lineup. What do you make of this value tier at short?
Not a ton of interest. There's so much
Agreed.
upside at the top of this position. I think you're giving up too much by punting it. It makes way more sense to punt second or even third before you punt shortstop. There's always going to be cheap outfielders that you can find. So I'm not spending down a ton at shortstop today.
Let's go to the outfield and talk about the expensive guys and also talk about the cheap guys. Kyle Tucker is here at $6,300. Juan Soto, $6,000. Then we have just so many 5K. Tatis, Carroll, Rooker, Alvarez, J-Rod, Jackson Merrill, Butler, Adolis, Seiya Suzuki, Jose Altuve. How do you want to break that? It's like, all right, dude, we can play. Like, they're all so good. If you were singling out a few, who would you single out?
Yeah, it's hard to pick between the elite options. There's so many great ones. How I generally do it is I pick the stack that I want for that lineup, and then you put in the best hitters from that lineup. They're generally in the outfield. So if I'm playing an Arizona stack, obviously I want Corbin Carroll. If I'm playing a San Diego stack, it's going to be Jackson Merrill for me, like and Tatis. Like, it just makes sense to kind of do it that way than try to figure out like who's going to have the most points. Like, that's it's tough to separate these guys at this point. They're all fantastic. I'm going to have exposure to basically all of them. If I was to poke any holes, my guy Kyle Tucker, unfortunately, it's not the day for him, being the most expensive in this nasty weather, facing a good pitcher. So he's the one guy I probably won't have exposure to. Even a guy like Yordan Alvarez in a tough matchup is totally fine. He'll be one of my lower owned, but the guys at the very top, it's going to be the Padres. It's going to be Corbin Carroll, and Brent Rooker probably would be like my first four.
To no one's surprise here, Tatis, Merrill, your highest two outfield owned plays of the day. Juan Soto is 4th, and Corbin Carroll 7th. So you have 4 of those guys all in the top 7 most owned. And Oakland is your clear. The Oakland spends are your clear pivots. Like, that is the clear GPP, Rooker, LB at 56 and 51 respectively. Like, that's hitting the top their order. So, what about when we go below 5K? But you have Byron Buxton looking pretty good recently. Brennan Nimmo at 4,500. I didn't mean to just skip over Ian Happ, but I figured we've already touched on how we're not just going at that game. O'Neill, we know, is a power bat, but lefties specifically. Buxton, Nimmo, Sedmol, Jonathan India, Lourdes Gurriel, and then we're gonna go to Josh's comment, because you will never. I don't want to get to it yet. But what about this upper 4K tier before I blow a gasket? Not on you, Josh, but just PvP in general. Oh my god.
Nimmo is a guy that I like a good amount. We've talked about how we can pick on Velasco the whole show. Buxton looks really good as well. Lorenzen has a very low strikeout rate, so that should mitigate Buxton's biggest problem. Don't mind Mullins in a tough matchup against Gallen. Matt Wallner, it looks pretty good at his price. He's leading off, so really like that that lineup spot for him. Let's see here. I think that's most of the standouts in the 4K range. A little bit cheaper. We talked about Pavin Smith already. JJ Bleday, a guy I like a good amount today, has been good for the Athletics. Let's see if there's any other standout names.
To your Pavin Smith point, we just got the Diamondbacks lineup. He is hitting 3rd once again today.
Very nice.
That's a nice spot in the lineup for him.
And Tawa is in there, it looks like.
Tawa is hitting 9th. Yep, second base hitting 9th. So that'll be interesting to see where at the worst position on the board where his ownership comes in, because that feels like close to like a plug and play depending on your lineups. That, like, if you're not just 4x4 stacking something and you don't want to play Arizona, that seems very easy to just plug and move on.
Yeah, completely agree. Like in cash games, I think that you just punt it off and don't worry about it just because it's so weak.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to Josh's comment here. Josh is hitting the chat up. Josh, we got to address this. Okay. I want to get ahead of this, Keith. I'm not even going to toss it to you. You can respond after. BVP stinks. It stinks because we judge pitchers and hitters off a 400 plus, 500 plus, 600 plus plate appearance sample. When players are 3 for 16, there are so many different factors that go into this stuff. Endless amounts of factors. Players are on different teams. Players are in different points of their career. Players are coming off injury. Players are there's just endless amounts of things that a 3 for 16 could mean. And if Willy Adames goes 4 for 4 with 4 home runs tonight, that 3 for 16 doesn't matter. And if he goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts tonight, the 3 for 16 doesn't matter. It's just it is too small of a sample to matter. There's no sustainable data pitcher versus batter that gives you a broad enough spectrum to take into consideration. I don't know about you. I use BVP 0.000% of my research. I don't even look at it, consider it. I could not tell you any BVP on any slate on a given day.
I'm with you. It is not something that I look at whatsoever. 16 plate appearances or at bats is not anywhere near enough to care about. If you wanted to get technical, home runs and strikeouts are the two numbers that I would look at, but it's not enough it's not worth your time is basically what I'm saying. It would be far more interesting to look at Hunter Green's body of work as a pitcher and see that he allows more power to right-handed hitters, and then look at Adames's full body of work as a hitter, and he has more power against right-handed pitchers. That to me is a far more useful stat than 16 at bats against Hunter Green. It just doesn't matter in that sample size. Even guys that have been in the league for 12 years, you're going to get 40 plate appearances. That's still not enough. Talking about season-long stats, you don't even start to pay attention to what a guy is doing until the 150, 200 plate appearance mark. Then you can start saying, okay, what this guy's doing might be different than last year. But if you take a guy like Vientos, who is struggling mightily out of the gate this year, we're talking about a week's worth of at bats. It's 37 plate appearances. It means nothing.
Right.
Do not be scared of Mark Vientos because he's off to a slow start. He was great last year. He's probably going to get back to that unless there's something physically wrong with him.
Right.
So sample size is the biggest point there. It matters, and it's never enough for BVP.
Bingo. And Josh, again, not singling you out. It's a quality question to just get ahead of when you're doing your research, right? BVP should be at the absolute bottom of the list when it comes to doing your research day to day, and it just ultimately doesn't matter.
And like you said, if Adames goes 0 for 4 with 3 Ks today, don't it still doesn't matter.
It doesn't because there's just endless amounts of variables that go into 16 at bat sample versus somebody. And Hunter Green is a great pitcher. Yep. Willy Adames hits righties. Great. The best players ever are 3 for 10, every 3 for 10, right? They fail way more than they succeed. So it's very hard to look at a 16 plate appearance sample and take anything from it. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Thank you, Josh. And thank you to all those tuning in. Haven't really addressed the comments. Cujo, what's up? What's up to you? Sorry, Cujo. Anthony saying, no more grinders? No. We're just ringing the alarm, Keith. Ringing the alarm.
Ringing the alarm, yep.
Po Degen Stoner is baseball and bong rip season continues from Garden City, Colorado. Po Degen, salute to you, man. Every day we get the comment, and we appreciate it. I look forward to it, honestly. I have people messaging me being like, yo, when is Po Degen Stoner leaving his YouTube comment? We the people need it. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate to all almost 400 people in the don't be afraid to chat. If you got a question for Keith or I, please put it in the chat. We will be happily answering it, unless it's BVP. Please don't ask BVP questions. We're taking no more of those for the rest of the show. All right, let's finish off outfield and build an example lineup and get out of here. Anything we talked about Gavin Sheets already. He's getting a lot of ownership. Jason Hayward is another guy getting a lot of ownership. I still don't think we have Padres lineup, so we don't even know who's going to be in it, but lefty would make sense. Another potential pinch hit candidate. Any Jay Hay love here, or is it just punt and Sheets if you're playing a cheap San Diego outfielder?
Yeah, I definitely prefer Sheets.
Yeah.
Hayward's fine, but if he's catching some ownership, I don't love that.
Yeah,
he'll like, I wouldn't kick him out of a San Diego stack, but I wouldn't target him as a one-off. Kind of fun. Jesse Winker'd be all right. He's 3K.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked good against right-handed pitching last year. I mean,
yep.
Another guy who has a lot of power. Also, once hit 330 when he played in Great American Ballpark, and then he's never been able to recapture that. But good player.
Yeah. Not much else to talk about down here, I don't think. Isbell at the bottom of the KC lineup is okay. If you're stacking KC, he's definitely fine.
Yeah, Isbell's fine. Where is Isbell even? 2,200. Yeah, he's fine. Again, slow start, but he's had a slow start every year. He's been pretty good. He's been pretty good against righties. Mark in the chat. Mark, what's going on, brother? Does $2,700 Kevin Pillar still have it? I mean, he was going to retire. Then he decided, you know what? I probably shouldn't retire.
He's been going to retire for 3 years, right?
Yeah, he's wanted to retire a couple times. Yeah.
And he has 2 weeks where he just absolutely torches the baseball, and then he goes back to the pumpkin that Kevin Pillar is at this point.
Against lefties, he is somewhat of a good baseball player against lefties. Specifically left-handed pitching, he does hit. But this ballpark, or this weather, I mean, it is 6 implied runs. It has not moved, right? It has not moved. Yeah, it's still 6. And I'm looking at a sports book that has a slight lead on the under 6 runs in that game. What do you make of $2,700 Kevin Pillar hitting 5th tonight?
I'm not doing it. I'm just avoiding that game. He's not the profile of hitter I really want to play as a one-off. There's no chance I'm stacking Texas, so I won't have any Pillar.
No Pillar, Mark. No Pillar. Take your hitting 5th and go ask somebody else's chat. I'm just kidding. We love Mark. All right, let's get a lineup built for the folks at home. For those tuning in for the first time, we do an example lineup at the end of the show. Again, just an example. This is not an optimal lineup. This is not a lineup that we're running through any simulators. This is just a good old hand-built GPP lineup for the folks at home. Where would you like to start? Should we just go to second and just plug Tawa in and just that's where we start, right?
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay. Let's go back to the arms. What is your preference on spend up? Was it Gilbert? Was it Senga? I know we probably settle into Hunter Green as an SP2. I felt like both of us were there.
Yeah, he's just mispriced. The conundrum I'm having on this slate is I think that this is going to be a really popular pairing, is one of the 2 9K arms and Hunter Green.
Yes,
that's what everybody's doing. So correct. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but just be mindful. You need some pivots throughout the lineup, I think, if that is the pitcher pairing you're rolling out, whether it's Senga or Gilbert.
All right. So then I will ask you this then. Words are hard. Would you rather be more contrarian on the mound, or do you feel confident being contrarian on the bat? Because San Diego and New York are obviously the 2 most popular stacks. There is no getting around either of those teams. There's no contrarian play in either of those games, or at least from that side. What do you prefer?
They are my two favorite offenses. I do think that Oakland is an interesting pivot, and I'm comfortable clicking pretty much any Oakland bat on this slate.
Okay.
So if we want to throw a couple of A's in there, I'd be comfortable going like Green and Senga or Gilbert.
Okay. Do you prefer the double spend pitcher, or do you want to use Hunter Green +1?
I'll leave that up to you. I think going double spend up at pitcher will be more contrarian than going Green and one of the expensive guys.
So right now, there are, from what I see, about 7 pitchers 20% or higher in large field stuff.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see where that shakes out, because
Agreed.
I don't agree with that like that won't be my exposure by any means. Like I'm going to be well over the field on Gilbert, well over the field on Senga, and well over the field on Green. Even though they're the 3 most popular pitchers, I kind of feel like they're going to separate a little bit by the time we get to lock here.
Yeah, I mean, 2 pitchers that are getting ownership are 2 pitchers that we're talking about the weather. Justin Steele and Nathan Eovaldi are both getting a ton of ownership in a game that has 6 implied runs. And I get it from that standpoint. It has 6 implied runs. If they can grip the baseball, they probably have a big outing because no one's going to hit in that ballpark. But can they grip the baseball if it's snowing?
Right. Like, what if Steele comes out and walks 3 in the first inning and throws 35 pitches in the first inning? Like, where's the upside then from that? Like, that's my concern. So I'll be under.
All right. I'm good. Right now, Hunter Green's the 3rd highest rostered pitcher. So let's go. Senga has separated himself from the others. So we'll go little leverage on Logan Gilbert and slightly lower on Hunter Green. And we'll build from there. And I think getting Hunter Green will also help us get Oakland, because Oakland is going to be like, if we wanted a Rooker or a Butler, they're obviously expensive. So if we're playing Oakland, Soderstrom probably makes the most sense from a per dollar standpoint, right?
Yep.
I shouldn't even say Oakland. They're not Oakland anymore. They're just Athletics, right? They're just like, they don't want to be associated.
It's going to take a while.
It's going to take.
It's like the Guardians thing. It took a while to adjust to that. This is going to take a minute.
It did.
We're guys who look at baseball every single day, 6 months out of the year. So we're used to saying certain things.
Do you have a lean on the Rooker? I think you said you like Rooker more, right?
I love Raleigh at catcher, but I do also really like Langeliers. So if we want to do that as the Oakland pitcher and then just avoid the 2 expensive outfielders, I'm good with that. If I also really like Rooker and Butler, it is slightly Rooker for me, but I'm open to either if you want to do that.
Well, I mean, I like the correlation here anyway. If we're just doing a 2-man Oakland or 2-man Athletics to be a little different, you have there are 3-4 hitters against Michael King. And then we can just get San Diego or the Mets sprinkled out through the rest of our lineups. Is that like the direction you were looking at here? I mean, we talked Gavin Sheets. That's an easy way to get more high-priced bats if we wanted to.
Yes,
5,100 for the rest of the 4 positions. I mean,
Gavin Sheets is probably going to be my highest owned hitter of the day. Yep.
Yeah, easy. First base outfielder at 2,600 against in the best hitting environment of the day. It's super easy to get to.
Yep, absolutely.
Machado Vientos was probably the direction I wanted to go at 3rd. Any specific lean? I think Vientos looks great because the fly ball and home run issues against Palazzo. Obviously, Machado's in the better game.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is lining up really well for a San Diego stack for us here. But if Machado's like,
nope,
I think Machado makes sense for this lineup.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. Don't even have to sell me on the dream there. All right. Do we want the Tatis Jackson Merrill pairing as well?
I think it's Merrill over Tatis for me today. If we have to choose one.
Okay. We don't have to, because we can also.
Do we have enough to spend at shortstop if we do that?
Yeah. We still have 50. We still have 5,100. And what I was thinking is we can do the Lindor Nimmo if we wanted to do a Lindor Nimmo. I know it's not exactly correlated, but their 1-4 is good enough where we're stacking a full game one off of a punt second baseman and then getting, two of the Mets' best hitters in their lineup.
Yep, that looks really good to me.
Hunter Green, Logan Gilbert, Shea Langoliers, Tyler Soderstrom, Tawa Machado, Lindor, Sheets, Merrill, Nimmo, $400 remaining. Any final thoughts, any parting words, Keith, for the folks at home as we head off into this Monday slate?
I don't have anything else. I like this slate. I hope that ownership at pitcher holds where it's kind of flat. I'm afraid that it's going to kind of congregate on the three top guys that we talked about, but we'll see what happens when the cards turn over.
Yeah, it is interesting. 7 guys with 20% rostership is a bit much, right? Like right now. So appreciate you, Keith, for your knowledge and breakdown here. Appreciate you guys in the FA Nation. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do this thing every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, and we'll go until about 6 o'clock or maybe a few minutes over because I talk too much. But again, big shout to you, Keith. I'm James. You can follow us on Twitter. These are our handles. We're not going to do the whole reading thing. That's hard, but